Welcome to Application Now. Today with me is Sarah, and we're going to do a short, maybe 15 to 20 minutes of consultation to see some of the challenges that maybe Sarah had regarding job search and getting an offer, and see maybe we can identify where the challenges and what can be done. So without, Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm a student of architecture. I actually studied architecture in the university. So after leaving, I worked for about 2 years thereabouts. So then I decided that I wanted to learn a new skill. So that's when I did my research and I opted for front-end development. So it requires with you using HTML, CSS, JavaScript to build websites. So I've been doing that for about 2 years. Like I took courses on Udemy, on Coursera. So I'm at the point where I am at React because to be a full front-end developer, I think you have to go through HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, then TypeScript. So I'm practically almost done with all of that. So for about 3 to 4 months now, I've been trying to get a job, even down to internship offers. I don't get, and it's just internship. I'm not really, it's just a free internship that you don't have to pay or they're not paying you. But I'm still not getting the offer. So I'm thinking, is it because of the career gap? Because I transitioned from architecture to front end, and within the 2 years, I wasn't working. I was just learning for practically every day since June 2023. So I'm at the point where I want to go back into the job market, but not as an architect, but as a front-end developer, and it's quite challenging.
Okay, so just to recap, so you're a student currently?
No, I'm done. I said I
Okay,
studied architecture, so I'm done in
okay.
2020, yes.
So you just graduated from architecture.
Yes,
You're looking to career transition into web development.
yes.
And what is your level of experience? Have you done any projects or any internships on web development, or are you just looking for the first one?
I'm looking for the first one, but luckily a family friend of mine told me to design a website. But prior to now, I've done like basic websites on my own. But I'm currently in the process of designing an actual website for a church. So that would be my first one. But I just
Mhm.
want like internship so I can have like a real life um, template or example on how to actually work with a team. I've never had that experience, just practice on my own.
Okay. So with that, let me give you one thought. So the thought is that you're looking for internship,
Yes.
which is, or a full-time without experience, which is both very difficult and very easy, or very easy, depends how you go about that. So I had a post about this on the blog regarding internship. So the challenge with internship is that there are many people who compete for internships, at least for what I call official internship. Every person who graduates from a university would be interested, who's currently studying in the university would be interested in internships. And many of them might also study computer science. So this is the competition in the field for the official positions. This is also why it's quite difficult to get internship positions. Now, saying that, internship is also one of the easiest thing to get. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very unstructured. So what is an actual internship? An internship is somebody who has a budget, some budget, who's willing to spend some of that budget, sometimes even no budget, to have you working with him. That's about it. So in the past, I was a student, but I also supported other students. I'm a professor at Cal State Fullerton. And I know other people, other professors, other company owners, that they can just take an intern on a whim. So what it means is if you structure a relationship and you're like, you look like you're interested in this field, and they feel like helping you. It's a few thousands of dollars, and they can hire you. This is not like a full-time position. A full-time position is a much longer commitment, usually go from a different budget, and it's more difficult. So that's one thought I have about internship. The second thought that I have is regarding full-time. Since you graduated, full-time should be your priority. However, internship, even a very short one, could be a game changer. Be a game changer because it gives you real experience. It could be a game changer because it's not going to be your first job. Basically, the other job could technically be your second job, because remember, when you're talking about the job, you're talking about it's an internship, but it's also a job. So a lot of people that have internship just said, I had a job. So next time they're just on their second job. So that's another kind of way to think about this. Now, the third thing to consider is taking projects. Now, what does it mean, taking project? If you work on web development or even like full stack, but maybe not backend, those type of positions often come as projects. So there are companies either online, like Fiverr on Upwork, but also not online. Companies that are like project shops that potentially would be happy for people to work on a project basis. It's not exactly like an internship. It's more like a part-time contract job. Sometimes if people struggle to get their first experience, that could be something that would be quite useful. I have on my website, there are slides from a previous webinar I did. That is how to get work experience without having a job. It's called something like that. It's on my blog and on applicationowl.com/blog. And I would recommend to look. Now, how many companies have you applied to?
About 30.
30. Okay.
Yes.
How many responded and called you for an interview?
Out of them, I think only 5, but 5 for the internship roles. Sorry, I think it was actually just 2. So the first one, they said I should move to another stage. But the kind of questions they were asking, because it's web development, they want to see practical, use of the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to a certain stage, and the kind of questions they were asking was like, I applied for senior engineer. So I just answered based on what I knew at that point, and then they didn't get back to me. So far, I would just say that one. The other ones were like, okay, I've gotten to the first stage, but after that, I didn't really hear from them. So out of the 23, maybe is where I'm applying to, because I'm applying to top companies. I'm applying to like Google, just to like give it a shot. Start from top companies, and then I didn't really, even some startups. I applied to some startups, but that's when I realized maybe there's something wrong with my CV, because I wasn't getting any response at
Sure.
all. Yes.
So one thing that I can say immediately is that 30 companies is a very low number. The average conversion rate, which means how many interviews are you expected to get if you do things well, it's somewhere like, I don't know, 5 to 15%. So what it means is if it's like 30, you could expect to like maybe 3 people that will talk with you. And I say talk with you, I don't even mean an on-site interview. I mean like a full day. I mean like just a recruiter conversation. Those are the current stats, I think, that are common within students. For you, since you come from a different field and applying high, it might be even lower. 30 is a very low number. But in the time that we have, let's take a look at your resume. So I think we've identified a couple of options to improve. One option is just apply to more. A second is if you're trying to get to an internship, try to network, because it's not really a big deal for somebody to hire you as an intern. And also consider contract work. either directly, so you publish, hey, I'm going to do contract work, or if it's on like, I don't know, Upwork or something else, and you apply to projects, or you work through a company that take projects. That's another option. With that, let's go to your resume.
Mhm.
Can you present your resume just that people can see?
Oh, okay. Okay. Um,
Now, I haven't taken a look at your resume, so I'll try and give you my first impression if I was the hiring manager looking at your resume.
okay. I should share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, please 1 minute. Let me just. Okay. Issues. Okay. Can you see anything?
I cannot see anything.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, okay. We can see. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Immediately, what jumps to me is that your resume is a non-standard resume. And it's quite
Is it what?
confusing.
Sorry. Is it? I didn't get what you said.
A non-standard.
Okay.
This is not what you would usually expect to see as a resume. And let me explain. Just immediately what jumps out, okay? The first thing that jumps out is you call yourself a front developer / architect. Now, I understand that you're applying to front developer, so this architect is very confusing,
Okay.
right? Like imagine somebody would apply and say front developer / fitness instructor.
Okay.
That could be confusing for somebody reading it. Just immediately, just looking at it. A second thing that I would say is that when I look at the resume, it's like it's layout in a non-standard way. And I don't see, you say, I'm creative and adaptive professional with an architectural background. So far, it says nothing about front end. Your first sentence says nothing about front end. It also doesn't generate any value because creative, adaptive, it's very subjective, but it doesn't say anything about you. Because anyone could say about themselves creative and adaptive. And also you add architectural background, which is not really related to front end. So you kind of missed on the first sentence. I would also suggest to do the layout. Never do white on black. It makes it hard for people to read it. And then you say, I combine technical abilities to deliver innovative and user-centered solution in both design and digital project. It's kind of vague. I would say be more direct. You want to work in front end, you say, I'm working at front end. What have I done in front end? What is my background? Another thing here is that when I look at this, I see nothing about experience above the fold. I always tell people, a lot of people that read your resume are kind of old and they have big font. Like me, I have glasses, but I wear glasses all the time. Other people don't wear glasses all the time. So they have big fonts on their phone. And they usually often will do it like on phone. So imagine that people see only like what's on the top. It doesn't have any experience. So from this perspective, it doesn't have any experience or anything that shows that you're actually interested in front end. And actually it's contrary because you call it an architect, which is even more confusing. Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you write the hard skills on the top, that's nice. I would say one of the things that's kind of unclear is that you have an education that ends in 2020. Okay. So can you scroll down?
Okay.
Like, can you see that above you write some hard skills that are kind of relate to it? Okay, some of the things I'm kind of unclear what they mean. For example, what it is Microsoft proficiency.
That
Kind of
means I
unclear.
can use Word, Excel, PowerPoint.
That's an excellent point. However, people expect that already. If you're a front-end engineer with a bachelor, people expect that you know how to use Word and Excel. So I would not usually put that. When you highlight skills that are considered trivial or more junior, the concern is that people would, think, okay, like maybe you don't, like you're much, much more junior that we can accommodate. So you have a bachelor in 2020. So what it means is that currently I'm looking at this and I have a gap of about 5 years. Okay?
Yes.
So it's kind of unclear. You have certification. I think the certification is a bit lightweight. Something I recommend to people all the time: if you cannot get experience, get like a serious certification as you can. I think with front end, it's actually not that difficult to get experience relative to other things. Like, for example, let's take program management. Program management is extremely difficult to get experience because unless you're a program manager at some large companies with complex stuff, it's not like you can be at your home on your computer and do program management. It doesn't exist. But front end, you can. There is nothing preventing you from doing your own projects by yourself. So McKinsey Forward Learners Badge, I'm not sure how it's related to front end. So I think that could be confusing.
Okay.
Now, when you see this work experience, okay, graduate architect basically mean that you worked as an architect, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I think that this gap is kind of jumping. So the gap is something that you will need to think about. The people that read this. So they read above the fold, they see 5 years of gap, okay? Then they read below the fold and they see graduate architect freelance. You barely write anything about it. Now, this is unrelated. So when you're thinking about bullets, when you write bullets, there are 3 kinds of bullets. There are bullets that are relevant. You've done something relevant. In architecture, maybe you didn't, but relevant, right? And you could also spin what you've done in architect in terms of design. So you can highlight maybe the design element of it, which might be important for front end. So you can make bullets that are relevant. The second thing is accomplishment. If you're thinking and talking in terms of accomplishment, imagine you're like a basketball player. Like, the fact that you were successful still means something. The fact that you care about results still means something. So I would suggest also to write those things. And the last thing is skills. Like, for example, you write soft skills, you can demonstrate soft skills at work experience. So I think the number one thing here is this resume have 3 challenges, I think. One is just the layout is very non-standard. The second is it's not clear how much you are committed and invested and care about the front end path. Because even in the title it says /architect, so I don't know, maybe I got this resume by accident. And the third is that when you talk about your architect work, I think you're like minimizing it. Like, for example, here you worked for like 2 years, 2.5 years, and you just write graduate architect. Now, if you spend 5 years, you need to write something that you've achieved some accomplishment using that time, have done something design. I would also highly recommend to put a summary just to explain to people that you're interested in front end and you made a change, loving the design, or whatever story you can tell, whatever narrative. So I think that front end, maybe to summarize, I think that you should have a very good shot getting like at least an internship or a part-time. I think the resume needs work, and I think you should try for more than like 30. I think 30 is a low number. And yeah, and gain experience. It's not that difficult to gain experience in front end, because
Yes.
the easiest you can always. It's like if you want to do front end at the basic level, you can always go to. Let's say you want to do an app. You can always go to a business and say, hey, like, can I do an app for you or something that does not have an app? Like, it's not that difficult to get experience.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're out of time. Any last questions?
I think you said a lot. I have at the top. I had I have a portfolio, so I think I focus more on the portfolio than the actual CV because at the top there's a link to my portfolio. I don't even think I had it, but I have a full portfolio, and they normally ask for
Yeah.
CV and portfolio. So I kind of showed the work I've done over time more in my portfolio than I did in my CV because I just
My
wanted to make the CV minimal. Yes.
my recommendation is put a project section. In that
Okay.
project section, describe project. There is no excuse for not having projects, because projects you can just do them yourself. If you're committed to this transition, I mean, it's not a big deal to do projects. So you should have a project section and talk about projects. That's what people do. Like, what is a project? A project is something in many cases just made up in order to gain experience that had no supervision and no payment. Sometimes
Yeah.
people do it through the universities, sometimes not. Sometimes it has supervision, but it's not like a company. And even if it's for a company, again, you can always just take projects for them, even for free. It doesn't matter. You just write it. So remember why internship is so valuable. Nobody knows how much you got paid, or the density of the work, or who was your supervisor, and whether your friend or not your friend or whatever. In the end, it goes into work experience, and it's not that difficult to get, because you just say, hey, do you have a project for me to work on? Many people will just say yes. People, I'm not saying most people, but many people just like to help people, and if there is, they can help you gain some real experience and your networks, and okay. They've done it for me, they've done it for other students, they've done it for many people that I know, so should be fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. This was very helpful. I think now I'm seeing it in a bigger light. I thought that because of my design skills, I can make my, resume have that design feel. But I think I understand better that the standard one is what works better.
Separate two things, because those are two completely different skills. The
Yeah.
first is your ability to get the interview, and the second is your ability to pass the interview. If you never got the interview, you never even got a shot to fail with your design skills.
Mm.
So this is more about getting that interview or getting that opportunity. If you get that opportunity and you don't pass, then that's a different story. But I think that if you put maybe a few weeks, top few months, start to gain experience and internships and projects and all of that, you should be fine. You're in a space that's very easy. Like, as I mentioned, if you were a program manager, that has been like a different story. If you are in the space of front-end developer, it's so easy to get experience. So there is no reason why just not to have experience and just talk about it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please, one last thing. The certificate section, most of my courses that I got certificates from was Coursera or Udemy. Do you think I should reduce it? I should just leave it then. The Mackenzie one was basically a certification for how to work in the office. So it taught us how to leadership skills. So that was what the Mackenzie one was about. That's why I added it, that how to relate with team members in the office. So that's why I added that certificate to it. It's like even if I'm an architect, front-end developer, anything, it would work for that Mackenzie program. So that's why I added it. So do you think I should remove it completely or I should leave it there?
I think that you're applying for a junior front-end development positions.
Yeah.
Junior, people are not going to go down into your ability to lead. They're just going to be like, okay, can you take instructions and do work? Or can you actually take projects and do work? That's basically what they have. So I think that anything that contributes to it is useful. Anything that does not contribute to it, probably not. It's kind of like if you would say, I'm an MBA, would that be something useful for a front-end developer? I don't believe so.
Okay. Then final question. Should I have just one page of CV? Because I've seen people that there are what kind of filters to 2 pages. So if it's 2 pages, is it like a disadvantage? Or I should just comprise everything to just one page?
Junior person, I would recommend one page.
Okay.
The reason for that is because the more pages you add, the more watered down and less impressive what you will write. Because in one page, you will pick the impressive stuff, right? Compared to 2 page. So why do people write 2 page? They write 2 page because I cannot merge. If I worked at Nokia and I worked at Google. I cannot merge those two things together. Those are two separate jobs. So I need more and more pages because I had, in many cases, more and more positions and more jobs, and I cannot just merge them because the resume is like chronological. That's usually why people get stuck with 2 pages. But for you, I would say it's a one page.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I have to go to another call, but
Thank
thank you for
you.
coming, and I hope that the listeners would benefit that as well. And yeah, like you have the video, so you don't need to take notes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.